Hello. So, today the title of my video is Where the Forest Breathes and the Moor Remembers. So before there were churches of stone, before bells measured time, there were places where the world still listened. Places where no walls were built because the earth itself was the temple. This is such a place, a sacred grove, where trees stand not as wood, but as elders, and beyond it a moor, dark, breathing, and alive with memory. The ground here is older than names. Roots twist beneath your feet like sleeping serpents, binding the living world to what lies below. In the grove, the trees are not many, they are one body. Their crowns touch the sky, their roots descend into the unseen, and their trunks stand at the crossing of worlds. This is the axis of the old people, the place where heaven, earth, and the underworld meet. To enter such a grove was never casual. You came unarmed, you came quiet, you came knowing that something was watching, not with eyes, but with awareness. The ancients believed the forest breathed. When the wind moved through the leaves, it was a breath of spirits. When the branches creaked, it was speech. Not language for the ears, but for the bones. Here offerings were simple: grain, water, wool, fire. What mattered was balance, not obedience. The spirits of the grove were not gods in the later sense, like Woden and so was. They were forces, guardians of fertility, decay, birth, and death. They did not demand belief, they demanded respect. At the heart of the grove stood no idol carved in stone. Instead, an ancient tree, a standing stone, or something else. Nothing at all, sometimes. Because emptiness itself was sacred. The unseen was never feared here. It was acknowledged. Now follow the ground as it sinks. The trees thin, the air grows heavy. Mist rises where water meets earth. You are entering the moor. This is not empty land, this is threshold land. The moor is neither solid or liquid, neither living nor dead. It swallows footsteps, it preserves what falls into it, it remembers. To ancient people, the moor was a mouth, a place where offerings were given downward to ancestors, to earth spirits, to the deep powers below. What was given here was never meant to return. Lights flicker across the bog at dusk, small flames dancing just above the ground. They are not tricks of the eye, they are guides or warnings. In old belief, these lights marked places where the worlds grew thin. Follow them blindly, and you might never come back. Follow them with knowledge, and they may lead you to buried memory or buried truth. The moor was not evil, it was honest. It showed humanity what happens when the land is not dominated, only endured. Shamans and seers came here alone. They fasted, they listened, they waited. In the moor's silence, time loosens its grip. Thoughts slow down. The self thins out. This was the purpose, to lose the everyday mind and step into other seeing, other vision. Dreams here were not dreams, they were journeys. The spirits of the moor spoke in images, birds sinking into water, bones beneath moss, faces forming in fog. Not prophecy in words, but knowledge carried back into the body. The grove and the moor were two halves of the same truth. The grove taught order, growth, cycles, and continuity. The moor taught release, decay, surrender, and transformation. Together they formed the ancient understanding. Life does not move in a straight line. It cycles and spirals. What dies feeds what lives. What sinks returns changed. When new beliefs arrived, these places were feared, then forbidden, then forgotten. Trees were cut, paths were rerouted, the old spirits were renamed as devils or ghosts or demons. But land does not forget. The grove still listens, the moor still breathes. And if you stand quietly, if you feel the ground beneath your feet and the sky above your head, you may sense it. That suitable pressure, that awareness, not calling you to worship, only asking you to remember. Because once, long ago, humans did not stand above the world. They stood within it. And in places like this, where the forest meets fog and the earth meets water, the ancient knowing still waits. Patient, rooted, and alive. So, that was my little story I wrote here about the willow or wisp, or as we call them in Saxon, Spökelicht. So like the English word spook, but spelled differently. Yeah, they are today explained by science as balls of methane gas that ignite, I think is what they say now, what they are, because they really do have little flames that come out from the moors that before we thought were spirits. And the symbolism is that they warn you not to go there, and if you are a blind man, so to say, then you follow it and you don't take the warning, and then you fall into the moor and you can be lost forever. But the smart man sees the little fireball lights or the spirits as a warning, and then they knew not to walk there. So that it's a symbolism with it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that short story and a little bit of information. Tschüss.